Stop motion animation using physical puppets is the area I've worked in most. I love it as it has so many possibilities. You may be familiar with it from films such as Nightmare Before Christmas, Chicken Run, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Coraline, as well as seeing it used to bring to life many of the superstar creatures from the 80s and 90s in films like The Terminator, Star Wars and RoboCop. These films were preceded by the mythological monster mashups and sci-fi films of Ray Harryhausen, and further back to the giant ape and dinosaur films of Willis O'Brien, most famously King Kong. There's also a rich history of experimental and political films from Eastern Europe, and so much more to discover from all around the world. You can make as detailed and mechanically functioning puppet as you need to suit your plan, but here we're going to start with a simple blob of plasticine. If you don't have plasticine, don't worry. At this stage you can use Play-Doh, blue tack or a random object. If using plasticine, try and get an oil-based plasticine like New Plast that won't dry out when exposed to air. Now set up your device and workspace using the settings video or the PDF quick guide and we'll be ready to go. Okay, let's try a few animation exercises with your blob. First, we'll get used to how the distances we move the object relate to the speed it moves on screen. Take a picture and move the blob about 2 centimeters forward. Repeat this until you get to the other side of the screen. Now do the same going back the other way, with about 10 centimeter increments. As you may have expected, the greater distance you move, the faster the object moves on screen. Now let's morph our blob into a blobmobile. We'll add a few cartoony elements. First of all, anticipation. This is used a lot in cartoons, before something whizzes out of sight. Next I want to show you acceleration and deceleration. Start moving with a few overlapping positions, each distance greater than the last. Then to make the corner, think about what something in motion would do to get round that corner. It has to decelerate. Visualising the car in motion, I'm going to swing the back out and then as the corner is completed, straighten up and shoot off until we hit another corner. And finish where we've started, with a flourish. Well done! You've just completed your first blobmobile driving lesson. Animation's great at using familiar movements to make an object represent something else, as we've just seen. This is why observation is so important in animation. Using any familiar movements or characteristics will really help sell the performance to the viewer. Pixelation animation, which is animating real-life objects, uses this idea a lot, adding unusual characteristics and properties to normally inanimate objects. For a final exercise, we'll try animating a humanoid. This can be tricky, as the audience intuitively knows what human movements should or shouldn't look like. Sculpt a simple figure from plasticine. Don't make it top heavy or it'll frustrate you by constantly falling over, and make sure the legs are sturdy enough to give it a stable base. If you find parts of the puppet are collapsing, you can insert flexible aluminium craft wire to reinforce it. Then smooth the surface back over, hiding your trick. Before animating, I'll visualise the movement. If I don't feel that's enough, I'll act it out myself. If I need reference for more unusual movements, I might look on YouTube or create my own video to study frame by frame. First try making some big poses, animating between them in a couple of frames. Now try a bit of a walk. Here I'm going for a deflated shuffle, to give the impression of a low mood. You don't have to go for something too realistic, as this is one of the hardest things to get right in animation. Here's something to brighten our friend up, and that's reflected in the posing and the speed of the movements. What do you think will happen next? Have a go at copying this exercise and make up your own end to the story. Finally, a classic animation challenge. Test your skill and get your puppet to push, pull or carry something heavy across the screen. This combines physics, posing, timing and acting. From here to move forward, you can try combining movements, moving things at contrasting speeds, seeing how your puppet interacts with its environment and the laws of physics. Look online for Disney's 12 Principles of Animation for more ideas that you can incorporate into your work. You can definitely learn to animate with a bit of planning, immersion into character and some practice. Good luck!